Hi students, in today's class, let's learn more about irrational numbers. So till now we have learned what real numbers are. Real numbers can be of two types, that is rational and irrational numbers. Rational numbers are the numbers that can be represented in the P by Q form where P and Q are integers and Q not equal to 0. For example, 5 by 3, 5 by 2, all these are rational numbers. Now let's see the decimal expansion of a rational number. That is, when you do 5 by 3, you get 1.666 that goes on. So 1.6, it's recurring, so you give it as 1.6 bar. So this is the decimal expansion of 5 by 3. Now check for the decimal expansion of 5 by 2. So the decimal expansion of 5 by 2 is 2.5 and the decimal expansion of 5 by 3 is 1.6 bar. So here you can see the decimal expansion of a rational number is always terminating or non-terminating and recurring. That is, the decimal expansion of rational number is always terminating or non-terminating and recurring. Terminating means after the decimal point the number stops. That is, you have a terminating decimal expansion. And here non-terminating means after the decimal expansion it goes on like this forever, but it's recurring. That is, the number that comes after the decimal, it will be recurring. Here only one number is recurring. Sometimes more than one number recurs. This is the decimal expansion for rational numbers. Now if you consider a decimal expansion of irrational numbers like root 2 and pi, root 2 the decimal expansion is 1.414 213 etc. and pi is 3.141592 etc. Here the decimal expansion is non-terminating and non-recurring. That means after the decimal point the numbers will not stop and will not recur. That is, will not repeat. It will be different numbers. This will go on forever. So you cannot express any irrational number as a fraction. That is, it cannot be expressed in the P by Q form. So this is about irrational numbers. So we have seen decimal expansions of rational and irrational numbers. What we can conclude is the decimal expansion of rational numbers is always terminating or non-terminating and recurring, and the decimal expansion of irrational numbers are always non-terminating and non-recurring, so it cannot be expressed in the P by Q form. One of the most important questions that is asked from this chapter is to prove the irrationality of a number. So this theorem is basically used for proving that a number is irrational. So here what does it say? Let P be a prime number. If P divides A square, then P divides A, where A is a positive integer. So let's take an example. Suppose A equal to 6, then A square is equal to 36. And if P is a prime number 2, in the theorem it states that if P divides A square, P divides A. So here you can see 2 divides 36, then 2 divides 6. So this is what is stated in the theorem. So let's take the proof of this theorem. So let the prime factorization of A be as follows. That is, A is equal to P1, P2, etc. up to Pn, where P1, P2, etc. up to Pn are primes and not necessarily distinct. Not necessarily distinct means you can have the same numbers repeated. Therefore, A square is equal to P1, P2, etc. up to Pn. You can square it with P1, P2, etc. up to Pn. So that is equal to P1 square, P2 square, etc. up to Pn square. Now it is given that if P divides A square, that means from the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, P is one of the prime factors of A square. From the uniqueness part of fundamental theorem of arithmetic, the prime factors are always unique. That is, we realize that the only prime factors of A square are P1, P2, etc. up to Pn. So from here, we say that P divides A square, P is a prime factor of A square, and from uniqueness part we know only prime factors of A square are P1, P2, etc. up to Pn. That means P is one among P1, P2, etc. up to Pn. Since A is equal to, it's given P1, P2, etc. up to Pn, as we have said, P is 1 among P1, P2, etc. up to Pn. From this expression you can say P divides A. Now we are ready to give the proof for irrationality. Here we have to prove root 2 is irrational. So here we use proof of contradiction. So we will assume that let root 2 be rational. So assume that root 2 is rational. So if root 2 is rational, root 2 can be represented as P by Q, where Q not equal to 0 and P and Q are integers. If you take the example of 10 and 8, this is a rational number. 10 has factors 1, 10, 2 and 5. So these are the factors of 10, and 8 has the factors 1, 8, 2 and 4. So here you can see 2 is a common factor among the two numbers. So if you divide by the common factor, you will get this value as 5 by 4. When you check this rational number, here 5 and 4 are co-prime. Here 5 and 4 have only 1 as its common factor. So the numbers that have only 1 as the common factor are called co-prime numbers. So let's divide this P and Q by the common factor and express root 2 is equal to A by B, where A and B are co-prime. So this is the first step that you have to do. And after this, you can write this expression as B root 2 is equal to A. Now, squaring on both sides, you get, when you square root 2, you get 2. B square is equal to A square. So from here you can write 2 divides A square. So you have learned in your previous theorem, if a prime number divides a positive integer A square, same prime number divides A. So here you can write 2 divides A. Now, as 2 divides A, you can represent A is equal to 2C. That is, A is equal to BQ plus R. We have learned in Euclid's division lemma. If a number divides A, you can write it as A is equal to 2C for some integer C. So A equal to 2C. Now, make this as the first equation and substitute this value of A in the first equation. So when you substitute, you get 2B square is equal to 2C the whole square. So this can be written as 2B square is equal to 4C square. So when you cancel this, you get 2C square. That is, B square is equal to 2C square. From here, you can say 2 divides B square. So from the previous theorem, if 2 divides B square, 2 divides B. So here 2 divides A and 2 divides B. That is, 2 is a common factor for A and B. So what we have assumed is A and B are co-prime, but here we got 2 as a common factor for A and B. That means our assumption is wrong. So that is the proof of contradiction. So what we have assumed? We have assumed that root 2 is rational. So from here we can say, therefore, what we assumed is wrong. That is, root 2 is not rational, root 2 is irrational. This is the proof for irrationality. We will do more exercises of this type in the next class. Thank you.